Hello students, welcome you all to the most interesting class of your science stream, that is physics. So myself Chiranjeev sir. So before going to study about physics, first of all we are going to discuss about what is science. What the benefit that you will get when you choose the stream science. So science is a word which comes from a Greek word, that is scientia. That means to gain knowledge with proper observation, experiment and verification. So scientia means to gain knowledge by proper observation, experiment and verification. Okay, so anything that you will going to study in the branch science, that is a collection of knowledge which is obtained by proper observation, then it is verified by doing a large number of experiments. So observation means what? Whatever you see in your day-to-day life, first you have to observe that thing, then you have to think about why that thing will happen, then you have to do some experiment to perform that thing by yourself, then you have to verify that experiment in different cases, then you will gain the knowledge behind the thing or phenomena that happening in our day-to-day life. So that knowledge which is collected by proper observation, or the way you have to observe that thing, then by all the experiments you have performed to verify that observation or the phenomena you observed in the nature or in our day-to-day life, is known as science. And what is physics? So physics is the branch of science which deals with the knowledge we gain from our nature, okay, or the natural phenomena occurring in our surrounding. So physics is a word, or it's basically a branch of science which comes from a Greek word physis, that means nature. So physics is a word which is coined from a Greek word physis, which means nature, and it is a branch of science. So in physics we are going to deal with the nature and its natural phenomena, from which we collect knowledge by observation, experiment and verification. So all the knowledge gained from our nature by observation, experiment and verification collected in a particular branch of science, that is known as physics. Clear? So physics is the branch of science which deals with what? The study of nature and natural phenomena. So in science, as we already know, that to gain knowledge, first of all we have to observe something, and to observe something it depends upon the observer, how he can able to observe that thing. Okay, I am an observer, how I am seeing some object, you are also observer, how you can see that object. So depending upon your observation, your experiment will be different, your verification process will be different, your theory will be different. So in science we can predict that something is permanent forever, something can be changed with respect to time. For example, I am showing you a picture. Look at this picture. Some of you look it and some of you show that I am written here as 9, but if I am rotating the same picture, some of you look this as 6. So the thing is same, but the observation way is different. So for some of you it is 6 and for some of other of you it is 9. So the way of observation is different, but the thing is same. So the way how you observe the phenomena upon which your theory will be dependent. So in science the theory is not permanent, it is vary from different observer to different observer depending upon their way of observation, then their way of experiment, then their way of verification. So in physics we deals with all the phenomena that happening in our day-to-day life or in our surrounding or in our nature, which comes under the branch of science which is known as physics. So physics is basically the royal branch of science, because at each and every step of our day-to-day life. From the instant when we open our eyelid from the bed, we wake up from the morning, to the last instant when we close our eye after switching off your mobile, after sending the final message to your loved one in Facebook or WhatsApp, till that instant, each and every instant you have to deal with physics. For every question arise in your mind in your day-to-day life which carries a question mark why, the answer is physics. And physics is a very interesting subject or interesting branch of science. So first of all, you have to feel this. If you are able to feel this, then you are going to love this chapter very much. But if you want to memorize this, then it will be maybe boring for you. So first of all, you have to feel the chapter or the name which is known as physics. Then you are starting loving it. So let me start the class, that is physics class of your first physics class of your 11th course. Okay, so in physics class, first chapter is dealing with unit and measurement. So what is unit and measurement? Before going to this, physics is known as, I already told you, it is the branch of science that deals with the study of nature and natural phenomena. Okay, so in nature, whatever we see is basically divided into two parts. Whatever we see in our nature is basically of two types. Either it is a matter or it is a radiation. Whatever you see in your surrounding or in our day-to-day life or in the nature, it may be either a matter or it may be a radiation, except that nothing else exists in our nature. What is matter? So anything that you see in your surrounding, if it possesses some mass and it occupies some space and you can feel it or you can touch it, then that comes under matter. Like chalk, it has some mass and I can able to touch it and it occupies some space, so it is a matter. This board, it has some mass, you can touch it and it occupies some space, so this is matter. So anything in the surrounding that you can able to touch it, it can have some mass and it occupies some space, it comes under the category matter. And anything that exists in the nature that we can't able to see it, we can't able to hold it, but we can feel it, like light. Light comes from the sun, we can't able to hold the light, but we can feel that light. That's why it's a radiation. Heat, in summer the surrounding becomes more hot, we can feel the heat. In winter the surrounding is cold, we can feel the temperature. That means the heat which we can't able to see or we can't able to hold, but we can feel it, is a radiation. So basically radiation is a form of energy. Okay, so nature is consist of matter and energy. So we are going to deal with these two things of the nature in this world, that is known as physics. Clear? So all the things that we are dealing with in our day-to-day life or in nature is basically of two things, that is either it is matter or it is radiation. Again, depending upon the size, the physics world is divided into two parts. Okay, basically in physics we are going to deal with matter and radiation, and depending upon the size, the complete world of physics is divided into two categories. One is classical physics and the other one is modern or quantum physics. Okay, so what is classical physics and what is modern or quantum physics? So in physical world, everything that you can see with your naked eye, like a chalk, I can see it in my naked eye, the whiteboard, the light, the car, bus, truck, anything that you can able to see in the naked eye, whether it is a matter or a form of energy, comes under the branch of physics which is known as classical physics. So it is basically deals with macroscopic level. Macroscopic study of nature. When we study the nature and its phenomena in macroscopic level, it comes under classical physics. Similarly, when we went to the level of microscopic level, that we can't study the phenomena of the nature in naked eye, or we can see it in naked eye, we have to use a microscope. Then that level study of the nature comes under modern or quantum physics, which it deals with microscopic level of study. Okay, so when we study about the nature in microscopic level, it comes under modern or quantum physics. When we deals with the nature with macroscopic level, it comes under classical physics. Clear? So the complete physics world is divided into two categories. One is classical physics and other one is quantum physics. Clear? So in this stage we are going to discuss about the classical physics only. Next we will go for the quantum physics. So for classical physics or study of physics in macroscopic level, all the natural substances or quantities exist are divided into two parts, because basically physics is the study of nature, and anything that exists in nature, maybe either it is a matter or it is a radiation. So anything that exists in nature again may be of two types of quantities. So first of all, one quantity is abstract quantity, and the other one is physical quantity. Okay, so what is abstract quantity? So the quantity that exists in our nature, but we can able to measure it. It's still there in our nature, it always happening in our nature in day-to-day life, but we can able to measure that quantity. That will comes under the category of what? Abstract quantity, like happiness, then hunger, taste. So all these things we can't measure. Okay, the chocolate is very tasty. I can able to say how much tasty is that chocolate, but you can say that it is very much tasty. So you can able to measure the taste of that chocolate, or that soup is very much salty. I can able to measure the saltiness of that soup. So the quantity that you can able to measure, but it is still there in the nature and you can feel it, then that is comes under what? Abstract quantity. I am very much happy. So the quantity of the happiness that I can able to measure, or I am very much sad, the quantity of the sadness I can able to measure. So all the quantities that happening in our day-to-day life in the surrounding, we can feel them but we can't measure them, comes under the category known as abstract quantity. Clear? And what is physical quantity? All the quantities that exist in our nature that we can able to measure them, their quantity can be measurable and they must satisfy some physical laws. They are known as physical quantities. So physical quantities is what? All the quantities those can be measured and must obey some physical laws. Are known as physical quantities. Okay, all the quantities those can be measured and must obey some physical laws are known as physical quantities. Like mass, we can able to measure the mass, length, time. So there are large number of like area, volume, density. So there are large number of quantities exist in nature that we can able to measure, and all the quantities that exist in our nature that can be measured and they must obey some physical law are known as physical quantities, and except that all the quantities that we can feel but we can't able to measure are known as abstract quantities, like happiness, hunger, taste, sadness, sweetness, poverty, corruption. All these things are known as abstract quantities. Clear? So our basic motto is, now we are going to study about the physical quantities, because we are dealing with what? Physics. So we are going to discuss about physical quantities. We are not worried about the abstract quantities. So now our aim is to study about the physical quantities. So what is physical quantity? We already know the quantity which can be measured. So physical quantity is a quantity that can be measured okay, but in nature there are large number of quantities exist which can be measured. So for simplifying this, because we study science to make the things more simple, so science gives us the advantage to study a large things in a simplest manner. So for study about the physical quantity in a simplest manner, the complete physical quantity exist in our nature are again categorized into 3 different types. So what are the types of the complete physical quantity that exist in the nature? Basically we know a physical quantity is the quantity exist in our nature that can be measured. So there are also a large number of physical quantities that can be measured, but it's too difficult to remember all the physical quantities. That's why all the physical quantities are again separated in 2 types, so that it will be easy for us to study about all the quantities. So the physical quantities are divided into 3 categories. First of all, it is fundamental physical quantity. Okay, then the second one is supplementary. And the third one is derived physical quantity. Okay, so the supplementary physical quantity is basically a part of the fundamental physical quantity. So basically all the physical quantities exist in our nature are categorized into these 3 parts. So what is fundamental physical quantity? First of all, we are going to discuss about the fundamental physical quantity. So the fundamental physical quantity, fundamental itself defines that the quantity that can be expressed in any other form. It can be expressed by itself only. So all the physical quantities that can be expressed by itself only is known as fundamental physical quantity. Okay, so in our nature basically there are 7 number of fundamental physical quantity exist. Those quantities can be expressed by any other physical quantities. So all the physical quantities that can be expressed by itself only is known as what? Fundamental physical quantity. And in our nature there are only 7 in numbers of the fundamental physical quantity. So what are the number of fundamental physical quantity? So total 7 number of physical quantities exist in our nature. Total 7 number of physical fundamental physical quantity, let it be writing in a short form FPQ, that means fundamental physical quantity, because we are discussing in physics. So in physics we always try to simplify the term. So fundamental physical quantity, in short form it will be how much? FPQ. But don't write this in your examination, just for your convenience I am writing here FPQ, that is fundamental physical quantities. How many in number? 7. What are they? Mass, length, time, electric current, okay, 1, it's 2, 3, 4. Then 5, luminous intensity, 6, temperature, then 7, number of substances, okay. So these are the 7 fundamental quantities that can be expressed in any other way. That means if we are expressing mass, then only mass can be expressed by itself. We can't express mass in form of length, or we can express mass in form of time. Similarly, time can't be expressed in form of length or mass, or by using any all of them. Time only can be expressed by itself. So all these 7 quantities can only be expressed by themselves only, not by using any other physical quantities. That's why all the 7 are known as what? Fundamental physical quantity. So in these 7 physical quantities, you all are familiar with mass, length, time, current, electric current, temperature and number of substance. There is a single term which is may not be familiar to all of you, that is luminous intensity. So what is luminous intensity? So basically luminous intensity is the glowingness of something. That means in our day-to-day life we are using a 0-watt bulb in our household and then a 100-watt bulb in our household. So which one is glow more? You all know that the 100-watt bulb will glow more. So that glowingness of that substance will be measured by a term that is known as luminous intensity. We will discuss about in later, but just for now you just remember what is luminous intensity. It is the measure of the glowingness of something. A 100-watt bulb glows more in comparison to a 10-watt bulb or 0-watt bulb. That the glowingness difference between these two bulbs, the amount of glowingness is measured with the term known as what? Luminous intensity. Clear? So these are the 7 number of fundamental quantities exist in our nature. So now you can easily remember all the 7 quantities. So it will be helpful for us by splitting the all physical quantities into different categories. So in fundamental physical quantity category, you have to remember total 7 number of physical quantities. Clear? Next we are going to study out what is supplementary physical quantity. So besides these 7 number of physical quantities which can only be expressed by themselves only, later on scientists discovered other 2 physical quantities which can also only expressed by themselves only. We can't express them in any other physical quantities. They are comes under the category known as what? Supplementary physical quantity. Okay, so what is supplementary physical quantity? They are 2 in number. One is plane angle and the other one is solid angle. Okay, so what is plane angle? When 2 lines meets at a point in a plane, they form an angle like this. If these 2 lines meets at a point in a plane, this is the plane angle, you all know. So this plane angle can't be expressed in any other physical quantities. It can only be expressed by itself only. So plane angle is also a fundamental physical quantity, but as it comes later, so it comes under what? Supplementary physical quantity. Then the other one is solid angle. What is solid angle? When 3 lines meet at a point in 2 dimension or 3 dimension, that is comes under what? Solid angle. For example, the cone of the ice cream like this. This is the cone. All of you may eat. So the cone of the ice cream you ate is a solid angle. The angle formed by the point where the cone ends is a solid angle. Clear? Or the birthday cap you wear in your head, the topmost point of the birthday cap, like this. This is the birthday cap. This point makes a solid angle because it is a three-dimensional angle. So the three-dimensional angle, generally plane angle is a two-dimensional angle and solid angle is a three-dimensional angle. So these two quantities, plane angle and solid angle, cannot be expressed by using any other physical quantities. So these two are also comes under the fundamental physical quantity, but as they are discovered later, so these two are known as supplementary physical quantity. So there are total 9 number of physical quantities that we can express them in any other form of physical quantities. You have to remember all the 9s. Clear? Next we are going to discuss about derived physical quantities. So fundamental, supplementary, you already know. The complete physical quantity family is now categorized into 3 types, and in the first 2 types you already know about the 9 physical quantities that can be expressed in any other form. So the final category is, that is derived physical quantity. So as the name explains itself, derived physical quantity, that means these are the physical quantities which can be derived by using the fundamental and the supplementary physical quantities. So any physical quantity, that means any quantity that can be measured, exists in our nature, and it can be derived by using the 7 fundamental physical quantity and the 2 supplementary physical quantity are known as what? Derived physical quantities. Like these are derived by using what? The physical quantities which can be derived by using other fundamental or supplementary physical quantities. Physical quantities are known as what? Derived physical quantities. And for example, area. Area is a physical quantity because we can able to measure area. But if area is not comes under the 7 types of the fundamental quantities, no, again the area is not comes under the 2 types of supplementary quantities, that is solid angle or plane angle, but we can able to measure area, that means it must comes under the category of derived physical quantity. So if it comes under the category of derived physical quantity, then it must be expressed by using either the fundamental physical quantity or the supplementary physical quantity. So how we can able to derive area? We all know area of something. If this is a rectangular section, I want to measure its area. So we know its area will be its length times its breadth. So the complete area will be how much? Length into breadth. So what is length? Length itself is length and breadth is also length. So the area can be obtained by using length is a fundamental quantity twice. So we can derive area by using the fundamental quantity length. That's why it is a derived physical quantity. Similarly, you can derive velocity or speed. Speed is how much? Distance by time. This is the formula. We can able to measure speed, but speed is not comes under the 7 types of the fundamental quantity, neither from the 2 types of supplementary quantity, but we can able to measure speed, that means it must comes under the category of what? Derived physical quantity. So how we can able to derive speed? So speed can be derived by using distance and time, and distance itself is what? It's nothing but length. So by using length and time, those are fundamental physical quantities, we can able to derive the physical quantity speed. So all the physical quantities that we can able to derive by using the fundamental or the supplementary physical quantities, by multiplying them or dividing them, all the physical quantities are known as what? Derived physical quantities. So the derived physical quantities are very large in number, but we can able to derive all of them by using the 2 supplementary physical quantity and the 7 fundamental physical quantities. Clear? So this is all about the physical quantities. Okay, so in our nature, the quantity which are able to measure or we can measure them are known as physical quantity, and all the physical quantities are again categorized into 3 types. Fundamental physical quantity, those are 7 in numbers and we can't explain them in any other form. Then the supplementary physical quantities which are 2 in numbers, that is solid angle and plane angle. Then all other physical quantities exist in our nature are comes under the category what? Derived physical quantity. Okay. So by simple form, what is fundamental, what is physical, fundamental physical quantity and what is derived physical quantity. So for a simple example, the fundamental physical quantity is the rice and the chicken, and the derived physical quantity is the biryani. So you can derive biryani by using rice and chicken. So rice and chicken are the fundamental physical quantity, but biryani is the derived physical quantity. Similarly, by using length and time, length and time are what? Length is the fundamental physical quantity and time is also the fundamental physical quantity. By using length and time, you can derive speed. So speed is your derived physical quantity, like as biryani. Okay. So next we are going to discuss about if physical quantity can be measured. So we have to know how we can able to measure it. Initially we already derived that the quantity which can be measured is known as physical quantity. But if a quantity can be measured or it can't be measured, how we will decide that we can able to measure that or we can't able to measure that? For that, first of all, we have to know the process how to measure something. So as all the physical quantities are able to measure, so we have to know the process of measuring the physical quantity. So that's here comes the first chapter of your syllabus, that is unit and measurement. Okay, so how to measure a physical quantity? So to measure a physical quantity, the first 2 things we require. If X is a physical quantity, then it can be written like this: N into U. What is N? N is a magnitude or a numerical value. And what is U? Is the unit. Clear? So to measure a particular physical quantity, we require 2 things to represent it completely, by a magnitude or numerical value and by a unit name. So if we are able to measure a physical quantity, then we can express the physical quantity in form of N and U. What is N? The magnitude or the numerical value, and U is the unit. Clear? For example, if I am expressing a physical quantity length, so length let be 2 meter. So 2 is the numerical value and meter is what? The unit name. So the length can be measured or expressed in form of 2 meter, where meter is the unit and 2 is the numerical value. If I am remaining the physical quantity constant, the length remain constant. If I am increasing 2, the unit value will be changed. For example, this can be written as 200 centimeter. So as the numerical value rises from 2 to 200, the unit decreases from meter to centimeter. Similarly, if I am decreasing the numerical value, the meter will rise. For example, it's 2 meter, I can write it will be 0.02 kilometer. Clear? As the 2 decreased to 0.002, the meter is increased to kilometer. So if we are decreasing the numerical value, the meter value or the unit value will increase. If we are increasing the numerical value, the unit value will decrease, because the same physical quantity remain constant. So if x is constant, so this implies I can write u is equal to x by n, or this implies I can write u is inversely proportional to n, as the physical quantity x is constant. Clear? So if the physical quantity remain constant, as we increase the numerical value, the unit value will decrease, or as we decrease the numerical value, the unit value will increase. So these two things, a numerical or magnitude and a unit, is necessary to express a physical quantity. So how to measure a physical quantity? First of all, we have to study about its unit. So what is unit? Okay, so next we are going to discuss about what is unit. So unit is, it is a standard of measurement of any type of physical quantity which is used to measure the same type of physical quantity by comparing it with that physical quantity. Okay, so what is unit? It is a standard of measurement of any type of physical quantity which is used to measure the same type of physical quantity by comparing it with that physical quantity. Okay, so for example, I am taking the length of this much from A to B, this much length as the standard of measuring length. Okay, if this much length from A to B, this much length is taken as the standard of measurement of the physical quantity. What? Any type of physical quantity. Here the physical quantity is length, and this much length from A to B I am taking as a standard to measure the same type of physical quantity. That means by taking this standard measurement of the physical quantity length, I can able to measure same type of other physical quantities like other lengths by comparing that length or physical quantity with this much. So this standard measurement of the physical quantity is known as what? Unit. If I am naming this as 1 meter, so this standard length is taken as 1 meter. If I am measuring a distance from this D to E, so to measure this length, I have to compare this length with this one. Then I can able to measure this length with the standard measurement of this much, which is AB. So as AB is taken as 1 meter, so the complete length from D to E can be expressed in form of 1 meter or in form of AB. How much time of AB comes within this DE will be the measured value of the physical quantity DE, which is what? Length. And this is also the physical quantity which is taken as length because it's a standard, the unit is a standard of measurement of any type of physical quantity which is used to measure same type of physical quantity. So this length AB is taken as a standard of the physical quantity length, and by using this length AB, we can able to measure only the length type of physical quantity. We can't measure any other physical quantity like mass, time or any other physical quantity by using this standard measurement AB. Clear? So unit is basically a standard of measurement of any type of physical quantity which can be used to measure same type of physical quantity by comparing the both. Clear? Similarly for mass, we are taking, if this is a substance, we are measuring its mass and we take it as the standard for measurement of mass as 1 kg. Clear? This is the standard of measurement of the mass, or the mass of this much amount of cube is taken as standard of measurement of mass as a physical quantity which is considered as 1 kg maybe. So if I am wanting to measure the mass of this large cube, so by comparing its mass with the mass of this small cube, I can able to measure the mass of this cube. It have the physical quantity mass, and this is here also the physical quantity's mass. So by using the standard of measurement of this physical quantity, which is a mass which is taken as 1 kg, we can able to measure the physical quantity mass of this large cube by comparing this one with this one. By using the mass of this cube, I can't able to measure the length of this cube. I can only able to measure the mass of this cube only. So by using a same type of unit, we can able to measure same type of unit by comparing with themselves. Clear? So unit is what? It is a standard of measurement of any type of physical quantity which is used to measure the same type of physical quantity by comparing themselves. Clear? So this is known as a unit. So to express a physical quantity, we have to need a unit, and how much time that unit comes in the measurement of that physical quantity, the magnitude we require. So by expressing both magnitude and the unit name, we can easily and completely define a physical quantity. So what are the characteristics of a unit? How a unit can be standardized, or how the standardization can take for making a unit. So characteristics of unit. So a unit should be convenient to use. That means the standard that we take for that physical quantity to measure any other physical quantity, that must be convenient to use. If I am taking this duster size as a standard to measure the length, so it will be convenient. But if I am taking the height of the Everest as the standard of measuring length, so it will not be convenient. So the unit should be convenient to use. That's why the unit neither be very small in size nor very large in size. If I am considering the length of an electron as the standard of measuring length, so it will not be convenient. So the unit should be convenient to use. That means it neither very large nor very small. Next, its value can change with respect to time, temperature and place. So if a unit, I am considering this much length from A to B as a unit, and I am naming this unit as x. So if this length is taken as x as the unit of length, so the value of x, or the distance from A to B, will remain fixed with respect to time. That means the x unit will always be the distance from A to B. It can be less than this, it can be greater than this with respect to time. The unit must remain fixed with respect to time and with respect to temperature and other physical quantities. So then only we can define it as a unit. So unit can be changed with respect to time, temperature or place. Then only it can be considered as a unit. Next, the unit can be easily reproduced. It can be easily reproduced. So the standard that we are considering as a unit, it can be easily reproduced. That means if I am considering from the distance A to B as a standard of measuring length, so the distance A to B can be easily reproduced. That means by comparing another wooden stick, I can make it as the unit x if this the distance from A to B is taken as the standard, which is known as x unit. Then by comparing any substance which have the same distance as that of AB will be the value of x unit. So the units should be taken as in such a way that it can be easily reproduced. Clear? Next, it should be widely acceptable. It must widely acceptable. That means the standard which we were using as a unit must be accepted by a very large number of population. Then only it can be accepted as a unit. If I am considering the distance A to B as a unit which is standardized unit taken as x, then this distance A to B is taken as x for a large population, then only this is considered as an unit. Clear? So these are the characteristics that must possessed by a standardization of any physical quantity, then only that standardized value of that physical quantity can be considered as a unit of the same type of physical quantity. Clear? So we already know what is physical quantity and how a physical quantity can be expressed in terms of magnitude and unit, and what is unit and what are the characteristics of units. Clear? Next we are going to discuss about different systems of units. So systems of units. In ancient time, when there is not that much international trading, that we are not dealing with internationally or any other countries, so some particular countries have their localized system of unit and they use that unit as the standard to measure the same type of physical quantity within that locality. So India has its own localized unit. Similarly, Britishers has its own localized unit, and the French countries like the Paris and some nearer countries have their localized unit. As Britishers are the country which ruled over maximum countries of the world, so their system of unit is morely used in the ancient times, that is known as the FPS system of unit. Okay, it's usually a localized unit that is mostly used by the Britishers, but as Britishers ruled over a large part of the earth, so this unit is most famously used in a large part of the world in the ancient time, that is known as FPS system. So what is F? The F stands for the measurement of length, that is foot. The P stands for the measurement, this is length measurement. The P stands for pound, which measures mass, and the S stands for second, which measure time. So this, in the system of FPS, we generally, the Britishers measure the length with foot, the mass with pound, and the time with second, and this is the system mostly used by the Britishers. Okay, and this unit is also used in India in ancient time, as India is also conquered by the Britishers. So next there is another type of unit which is basically used by the French countries, that is known as Gaussian system or CGS system of unit. So what is CGS or Gaussian system of unit? CGS system, or it can be known as Gaussian. So this system of unit is basically used by the French, and the CGS system stands for, the C stands for centimeter, which is a unit for length, and the G stands for gram, which is used as a unit for measuring mass, and the S stands for second, which is used as a unit to measure time. So this is the system, CGS system or Gaussian system, which is used in the ancient time in some part of the French. Clear? But as these units are very small to measure the large quantities, they later upgrade this system to MKS. Okay, as the CGS system is very difficult to measure large quantities, then later on the French upgrade the CGS system to MKS, where M stands for meter, K stands for kilogram, and S stands for second. Clear? So MKS system is later on, or the modified version of the CGS system, which is used by the French. Okay, so these are the most popular localized system of units that used in the by the Britishers and the French countries. Okay, but when the international trading begins, that means from nation to nation business occurs or tourist travel, then the localized unit is too difficult to understand. For example, in India, here we are measuring petrol in liter. So when we go to a petrol pump, we asking for petrol in liter. But when we went to Arabian countries, there they measure petrol not in liter, in gallon. So if we are going to Dubai and we want to fill up the tank of our vehicle, so when we went to the petrol pump, we ask for 2 liter petrol. They will not understand what is 2 liter of petrol. We have to ask them in form of gallon. So the localized system will not convenient for international trading. Similarly, if a pilot is flying a flight which is traveling from one part of the world to other part of the world, but within that there is localized system of unit, the pilot knows the system which is as MKS, so he can measure the unit of speed in terms of in terms of meter per second or in terms of kilometer per second. But if the traffic controller of the flight will ask him to decrease the speed from 200 mile to 100 mile, he can't be able to understand what is 200 mile and what the value of 200 mile in terms of kilometer or meter. So there was a large number of problems during international trading. That's why the localized unit can be used as a general unit for international trading. So finally, in the year of 1960, there is a general conference for unit and weight measurement which approved a standard unit for the complete world, which is known as the Standard International Unit. In 1960, the SI system of unit is approved by the General Conference for Weight and Measurement, and they accept the MKS system as the SI system, and this MKS system is broadly accepted all over the world. So wherever you went in this world, if we are asking anything in the unit of MKS system or SI system, all can be able to understand, and it is very easy to deal with. That's why a standardized system of SI system of unit is approved by the General Conference for Weight and Measurement in 1960, which take over MKS as the Standard International Unit System. Clear? So to measure any type of physical quantity, it will be easy to remember its unit in form of the SI system. So you already know there are large number of physical quantities, but all the physical quantities are derived or categorized into different types, and from them we have to remember only 9 physical quantities, because by using the 9 physical quantities we can derive any type of physical quantities. So you have to remember the unit of all the 9 physical quantities, so that you can able to determine the unit of any other derived physical quantities. So what are the SI unit of the 7 fundamental physical quantity and 2 supplementary physical quantities? So SI units of fundamental and supplementary physical quantity. So first, mass. You have to remember the symbol to represent mass. It is represented by m and its SI unit is kg. Then length, represented by capital L, its SI unit is meter. Time, it is represented by capital T, each second. Temperature, it's represented by capital K and its SI unit is Kelvin. Then electric current, denoted by capital A and its SI unit is ampere. Then luminous intensity, it is represented by capital C small d and its SI unit is candela. Then number of substance, represented by MOL and its SI unit is mole. Clear? So you have to remember these 7 fundamental physical quantities and their SI units. Then there are 2 supplementary quantity. One is plane angle, SI unit will be radian, and another one is solid angle, its SI unit is steradian. ST, it is RD. Clear? So these are the 2 supplementary physical quantity and 7 fundamental physical quantity. By remembering the SI units, all these physical quantities, you can easily determine the unit of any other derived physical quantity. Okay. So next we are going to discuss why the General Conference for Weight and Measurement approved SI as the MKS as the SI system. What are the advantages of MKS? Why they don't approve FPS or CGS as the standard international system of unit? What are the advantages of MKS to be approved as the standard international system of unit? So the advantages are the SI or MKS system is coherent. Okay, the first point is the MKS system is coherent. What do you mean by coherent? The MKS or SI system is coherent because by using the unit of the fundamental physical quantities, we can able to determine any type of derived quantities. Okay. So there are some more advantages of the MKS system to be considered as standard international system of unit. We will discuss about in next class further. So this is all about the first class of your physics in your 11th class. Okay. Hope you all understand whatever I studied to you. If you have any doubts, you can ask me personally. Okay. Thank you. All the best.